What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. It is actually not 100% related to books, but we will talk a little bit about books simultaneously. I am very nosy. I think we've kind of gone over this. And I decided that it might be fun to show the makeup that I have collected and put aside for my brother's wedding. Now, one thing I will say is that this is how it looks after about 7 hours of application. So I actually am going to try putting my powder on to see if it improves the overall like excessive glow that's happening here right now. So let's see if we can't get that to work. So this is the powder slash blush brush, and I think there's no way that I'm gonna get these dark circles under my eye to go away because your girl has not been sleeping. I don't know what is going on, but like genuinely cannot sleep to save my life. My husband and I ended up going out for brunch today, which was really lovely. I'll put some inclusions of our meal in there as well, in this video as well. It was very cute. It was our first time going to this restaurant. It was super cute, and I really did enjoy myself when I went. Now that I'm back home, though, my husband has gone to a concert, which I think is great. I think he's really going to enjoy himself at said concert. I did not want to go today because I have been feeling tired, miserable, overwhelmed, sad, just broken down, if you will, and just because of everything that's happening right now, being in the medical space as well. It's just really overwhelming to see my patients get affected. It's really sad to see the notices on various building doors, and it's been a lot. And so I decided I was gonna take the time instead to just relax, and I decided that I was gonna wear my new sweat set. So this was ridiculously discounted and on sale. And I was like, I love my Alo Yoga. I get my Alo Yoga because of my height and because of the comfort that is associated with it. But I just thought this was so cute. I feel like I look like a little pink marshmallow, like an oversized fat pink marshmallow, but I'm kind of loving it. This is from the brand Comfort. Comfort is ridiculously doing a huge sale today in general. And so would definitely recommend checking it out. Their prices are also a little bit on the higher end, but right now, like this entire sweatsuit, I think I paid $45 for everything combined, which to me is much more reasonable than paying $90 for just one pair of sweatpants from Alo Yoga. And I'm really liking the overall texture and comfort of the sweater. Also, I don't fully understand the concept of it being perfect for anxiety because it's supposed to be weighted and fitted. I think you have to really want a fitted style. I am not someone who prefers a fitted style, so therefore mine is not extremely fitted, but I decided that I still love the overall vibes of the sweatsuit. So here we are. But I figured for today's video, I wanted to talk about Riley Sager. So I'm going to talk about Riley Sager and discuss all the books about Riley Sager that I'm absolutely obsessed with, especially as I take my journey into his newest book, which is the book that we will also be reading for our book club, which is With a Vengeance. I realize this intro is all over the place and super random, but the reason I bring up my anxiety and things like that is because I know that the world is a very scary place right now. I know that there's a lot of things that are changing that we fundamentally cannot control. There's a lot going on in the world. And so I just wanted to put all the love out there that I can while I continue to talk about all things books. And the other thing that I thought might be fun is to showcase the makeup bag that has officially been selected and curated for the weddings that are coming up. There's so many weddings this year, it's insane. We have a wedding 3 weekends in a row. Then we also have another wedding coming up next year in March, as well as in April and in May. So there's a lot of weddings coming up. So altogether, I think 6 or 7 weddings in the span of a very short period of time. My best friend is also theoretically getting engaged today. Not theoretically, she is getting engaged today. I just can't be there to celebrate with her, but I'm so excited to see her soon because we will be in the same place at the same time in a very short period of time. So I can't wait to give her a hug. I'm so thrilled for her and her fiance. And I joke about it all the time because I tell her, hey, you know what? The guy you're getting married to is South Indian and is in medicine. So really, you're marrying me. And then my other best friend, also from that same group, we all went to high school together. She is marrying a man named Janak, who is absolutely amazing, and I love him to death, but his nickname is Jay. So I was like, on one side, we have a girl who's marrying Jay, aka me. My full name is Jaya, and Jaya gets translated to Jay all the time. So I'm like, you're marrying Jay. And then on the flip side, we have someone who's marrying me in terms of culture and profession, just in a male format. So I make fun of them all the time, but I love both of those men tremendously. I love how beautiful they make my best friends feel. I love how loved they make my best friends feel. And I'm so excited for this next step in the journeys of their lives. So very, 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 very pumped and excited for that. But that being said, let's talk everything Riley Sager and simultaneously go through my makeup bag. That's what this video is going to be. So if that sounds like it's something you might enjoy, stick around. I realize it's a very random format. So yeah, here we go. It's reading time here at J-Bay's Corner. So I think the way that I'm going to film this video, because I did want to share like the makeup products as well, just for funsies, is I'm going to pick a book, I'm going to talk about the book, and then while I'm talking about the book, when I'm about to transition to the next book, I'll talk about a few of the products. Okay, let's do this, guys. So the first book that I want to talk about with Riley Sager is Final Girls. Now this book I think was really fun and it was very interesting. The thing about Riley Sager, okay, so Riley Sager actually writes underneath a pen name, and he is a male. For the longest time I thought Riley Sager was a female. Was very, very, very entertained to find out that how debunked I was about that. He's actually a male. Wonderful author. He loves to write thrillers. So his whole genre, his whole vibe is thrillers. And in this particular book with Final Girls, basically it is following the story of a young woman who survived a serial killer attack. And by surviving, she and the other girls that have survived gruesome attacks basically end up in a small group called the Final Girls. Final Girls are all women who have survived very dangerous, very aggressive, very antagonistic, very dangerous attacks, and other people around them did not survive these attacks. And so she is unique. She's one of a kind. Now, as time moves forward, she ends up reconnecting with another final girl whom she had not had connections with in a very long time. And her name is Lisa, as well as Sam. So these are all women who have survived other serial killer attacks. And Quincy just wants to get through life and like have peace. She's dating someone. She's like finally in a position where she may or may not settle down. Her life is starting to seem a little bit more normal. And then all of a sudden she's thrust back into her past and it catches up with her. And basically she's being threatened because she finds that another final girl, Lisa, was found dead in a bathtub with her wrist slit. And now it appears that all the final girls are being targeted. So she has to figure out who is trying to commit these murders and how she will escape them. It's a very interesting book. We also have a detective who's in this book. We have her boyfriend / fiance who shows his face in this book. We have Sam, who is another serial killer survivor in this book. We have Quincy herself, and then we also see Lisa throughout the course of this book. This is one of Riley Sager's very first books, if not his first book. Let me just double check that in terms of timeline. I want to say this is one of the first books he's ever written. I don't know if it was the first or if the Last Time I Lied is the first book, but point being, Final Girls was one of his earlier books. So the novel is very intriguing, very fun, very fast-paced, very enjoyable. His writing is still developing in this book, I would say. He still has phenomenal writing in this book as well, and it's very, very enjoyable. It's very well done. But that being said, it was also one of those books where you can definitely tell as you read the rest of the books in his series that his writing gets better. But this was still a book that was written very well. Storyline was very well thought out, and it was just a very enjoyable read. I ended up giving this book a solid 4 stars. However, this is not the very first Riley Sager book that I read, so keep that in mind and take it with a grain of salt, because I did read other Riley Sager books that came out later in the timeline that I enjoyed way more before I read this one, so I felt like it was a little bit more predictable for me for that reason. But I would say overall the book is great. So now that that's done, let's talk a little bit makeup. So this is the makeup bag that I've currently been using. This is like kind of the catch-all. I used to only use Charlotte Tilbury makeup because it was the only one that didn't make me break out. And then I decided I kind of wanted to branch out, have a little bit more fun, and get into the space of these quote unquote luxury brands releasing makeup products, because I was like, I really want to understand the difference between drugstore makeup versus Charlotte Tilbury, which I absolutely love, and these other brands. So I'm having fun with these other brands currently, but that doesn't mean I leave Charlotte Tilbury behind. So this is still my Charlotte Tilbury makeup bag, and it's huge, so it fits just about everything in it. And then I also ended up finding this little travel set of brushes that they did for the holidays, and I absolutely love it. This is the Hollywood Complexion Blush. So you have the beautiful brush top that is great for foundations and things like that. You have this if you want to use it for finer products such as a highlighter if you wanted. You could also use it for bronzing. You can also use it for your concealer if you wanted to, just to get those blurred edges in. So I absolutely love this brush. Then we also have in here a flathead foundation brush, which is great for powder as well as for cream, gets that nice circular feel. We have two eyeshadow brushes. You can also use this one for concealer if you really wanted to, if you don't care about blending out your eyeshadow. And then this is like your blush slash powder brush, which is absolutely adorable. I love how tiny these little brushes are. And then this also has a little mirror in it. So all of these brushes just kind of slot in to the back here, with the exception of the double-ended brush. That one I do have to put in separately just so that it fits, and I put it in sideways so that even though it's elongated, it fits into the case, and then you just zip it up and she's ready to go. So I love the fact that I have my entire brush set ready to go with my Charlotte Tilbury. So yes, absolutely love, 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 love Charlotte Tilbury. So she's still gonna make an appearance in all of the products in this bag. Jumping back to books now, let's talk a little bit about The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. So this book is also, again, one of his earlier books. This book is basically following the story of some young women that went to camp. And when they were at camp, one of the girls ends up going missing, and there's a dead body that is found. No one can really figure out how she died, when she died, all this kind of stuff. And so the story is basically following the stories of Vivian, Natalie, Allison, and Emma, who were all at Camp Nightingale. But everything kind of goes blurry when Emma sleepily watched the others sneak out of the cabin into the darkness, and then Vivian never comes back. So the story is basically following Emma's story when she ends up at Nightingale again as a camp counselor, and she basically has to figure out what happened in the past. Where did Vivian actually go? Was she put to rest? All of this. And she also has to figure out how the murder happened. Now, the thing is, Emma, who is our primary storyteller, also has two truths and a lie. So throughout the course of the book, we kind of figure out what those two truths and a lie are, as she's also solving the case of what happened to Vivian. I'm going to read the back just so you guys get a better understanding of what the book is about, because I feel like I kind of butchered that. Two truths and a lie. Vivian, Natalie, Allison, and Emma played it all the time at Camp Nightingale. But the games ended the night Emma sleepily watched the others sneak out of the cabin into the darkness. The last she or anyone saw of them was Vivian closing the cabin door, hushing Emma with a finger pressed to her lips. Now a rising star in New York art scene, Emma turns her past into paintings, massive canvases filled with dark, gnarled branches that cover ghostly shapes in white dresses. When the paintings catch the attention of a wealthy owner of Camp Nightingale, Francesca implores Emma to return to the newly reopened camp as an art instructor. Wouldn't she like to put the past to rest? Familiar faces in the same dark lake haunt Nightingale, where Emma is even assigned to the same cabin she slept in 15 years ago. But not everything is the same. The only security camera is pointing directly at Emma's door, and long-hidden cryptic clues that Vivian left behind begin to surface. Soon, Emma finds herself sorting through lies from the past while facing mysterious threats in the present. And the closer she gets to the truth about Camp Nightingale, the more she realizes that closure could come at a deadly price. So again, this one was really, really fun. This one is probably the book that I loved the best in terms of his older writing. This book I thought was very entertaining, very fascinating. The twists and turns in this book were not 100% predictable for me, which is another thing I really enjoy about thrillers. I don't necessarily love a thriller where I can guess what's going to happen in the book, but I will say, like, this is one of those books where once I read it, I was actually sitting with it for a while, and I was thinking about it, and I was digesting it, and I didn't jump right into the next book that I had in my TBR, which typically is what I do. So as soon as I finish a book, I'm usually up and ready to go with the next one. So this was a nice change of pace in that regard, to have a book that actually gave me something to chew on. Overall, this book was a solid 4-star read for me. I think the camp dynamics, the story being told from the past and the present, the dynamic between Emma, Vivian, and the other girls in this book, the storyline that's happening, the conclusion of how these girls disappeared, what happened, all this kind of stuff is very well written. And I think Riley Sager did a wonderful job of having that thriller mystery vibe encased in atmosphere that just makes you feel the chills as you're reading this book. This is definitely a great fall read. I will also say most Riley Sager books to me are definitely fall reads. There's a couple that I feel are more summery, but this was definitely more of a fall read for me, even though it's a summer camp. So now that we've kind of gone through the brushes in the bag that's inside, let's talk other makeup products. So I ended up getting a full set of travel-sized face creams, lotions, all that kind of stuff, just for making sure that my skin is healthy regardless of what I put on it. So I also ended up picking up a travel-sized Dove aluminum deodorant spray because you just never know, and my biggest fear is smelling bad. Then I also have the Magic Hydration Revival Cleanser. This is basically just a face cleanser and I absolutely love it. It's just so delicate on the skin. I also have a moisturizing face oil by Charlotte Tilbury that I absolutely love. The Magic Cream, of course, in the travel size. It's just great for your overall face. And then I also have the Magic Body Cream, which has caffeine, algactive uplift, hyaluronic acid, and shea butter, which is just really hydrating and moisturizing on the skin. So it's just this mini pack of skincare that I have with me because makeup, as we know, can be very abrasive on the skin, and I don't necessarily love to wear makeup. I do it very rarely, and when I do, I enjoy it thoroughly, but I don't necessarily like to wear it all the time. The next book that I kind of wanted to talk about is one of those books that I did mention felt more summer for me with Riley Sager, and that is The House Across the Lake. This book, I think, was so cool and so fun. This book actually delves into the idea of supernatural, which I thought was really fun. We have serial killer vibes in this book. We have a young woman who unknowingly may or may not have married a serial killer, and her story as she returns back to the lake and she sees the house across the street with a woman who appears to be being abused by the man that she's with, and she decides that she's not going to stand for it. She's not going to allow it to happen. It's also a unreliable narrator story because she is an alcoholic, so that's also a fun twist on the book. We have a camp's groundman who is a little bit sketch, a little bit scary, but also has a history of being a cop, who is thrust into this story as well. And we find out exactly what happened many, many years ago when this young woman's husband died. She herself is an actress, so she used to have different projects all over the place. She has very strained relationships with her mother and her family, and it's just that she comes to this lake to escape life, escape her fame, escape the tragedies and the history that follow her around, escape the spotlight that is consistently shining upon her, and all she wants is peace when she befriends the women across the lake. It is such a haunting, amazing, supernatural, all kinds of things happen in this book. It's just great. Such a fun read. I genuinely enjoy this. And I'm not someone who typically likes an unreliable narrator, but even now, I read this book when it first came out. It came out back in, I want to say it's been at least a few years. Let me tell you guys exactly when this book released. This book came out in 2022. That was the year I got married, okay? That year is a blur in my head. 2022. And here's the thing. Even though this book came out in 2022, and even though I read it the month that it came out, I still think about this book. I still get chills thinking about this book. So Riley Sager just killed it with this book. This book is definitely set in the summertime on a lake, and so I feel like this is a perfect thriller for the summertime. Great beach read, for example, great camp read, for example. But if you wanted to pick it up in the fall, especially if you're going to be spending your break in a cabin setting or something like that, it could also be fun for that vibe. But this is one of his books where I definitely feel like, even though it's a thriller, it's more of a summer thriller. But there's just something in the way that Riley Sager writes that I think is just phenomenal. This is also one of his quote-unquote newer books, and so I will say that the writing style in this is also absolutely amazing, and it wasn't as predictable as some of the other books are. And I can't give any more detail than I've already given because otherwise it'll ruin the book, but just such a phenomenal read. Definitely recommend. Solid 4.5 stars for me. I think every makeup look also starts off with your face, right? Like you need basic face items. And so kind of went through the skincare. Let's talk about the actual foundation. So the foundation that I found that was actually color matched to me in the store is this Dior foundation. It is the 4.5 warm, and it's a transfer proof 24-hour foundation that's high perfection, concentrated with fluoride skincare and sunscreen, which I really like. So it has an SPF 15. And I love the fact that when I put this on, even if I don't put anything else on, it just matches my skin so perfectly and it blends in so beautifully that I don't really need anything else that I have with me. So I love that because I feel like regardless of what event I am attending, I can make this work. And I also feel like if it's after work or something like that and I just need a quick spruce, then I can throw this on. So I love this product. Then next to that, I also have, again, Charlotte Tilbury didn't go anywhere. We have the Charlotte Tilbury concealer. This is the Radiant Concealer in 9 Tan. And I absolutely love this. I love the application. I love how easy it goes on. I love how beautifully it blends. I just think it's also so compact and easy to use. So I absolutely adore this concealer. But this foundation and this concealer are basically the bases for my face. And that's really all that I need, which is kind of great. And they're so small and compact, they can be thrown into the to-go bag. Lock Every Door is probably my favorite Riley Sager book. But let me also preface this by saying this is the very first Riley Sager book that I ever read. I also love the fact that I'm matching this book right now between my black hair, the pink that's going on, the white that's going on. Like, I have a carbon copy of this book. So if I wanted to continue the books I read match my outfits vibes, this would have been it. But this is the very first Riley Sager book that I ever read. And I want to say I read this back in 2020 or 2021 when I had joined Paper and Glam. This book came out in 2019. So I want to say I read it in 2020 in Paper and Glam, which is the very first book club that I ever joined. That was an online book club that is run by a beautiful group of women. And it is just such a loving environment to be a part of. And I just love those girls and what they made with their book club and how far it's come. I'm so proud of everyone on that team and I'm so thankful to be a part of the group. But this book changed my life. I loved this book. This book, I will say to a certain extent, is very predictable if you read a lot of thrillers. I will say that the characters in this book are like very much what you would anticipate them to be. But I did love the crazy romance that happens. I love the premises of this book. So the basic idea is this woman gets the opportunity to come house sit at a Bartholomew apartment complex, which is one of the most luxurious, celebrated apartment complexes in all of New York. It's overlooking Central Park. It's absolutely stunning. But the only thing is, she finds out a lot of the apartments there are being house sat by youngsters that are coming to live there. And they all come from relatively broken backgrounds. They don't have too many people that are close to them. But the thing that makes it interesting is that randomly people will go missing and no one really understands why. So our main female character decides that she's going to go on a journey to figure out why these people are going missing, where they happen to go, and why this apartment seems to have something off about it. It is written so well. That's all I'm going to say about it. The thing about Riley Sager books is like you can't give too much because if you do, it'll ruin the book. But oh my God, so good. 5-star read for me. Love this book. Would read it over and over and over and over again if you let me. But that could also just be because it was the very first Riley Sager that I ever read. The other face product that I forgot to mention that I do also have is this lovely powder. This one is just a natural powder. I think it's great for setting things. Why can't I open it today? It doesn't want to cooperate with me. I love the little mirror that it comes with. I just love how stunning this piece is and I am obsessed. It's a great color for me. It matches pretty closely and I just think it sets everything in a beautiful way. This is the Dior Forever Nude Matte Filter 3 medium color, and it just goes so well with the other two face products that we talked about. So the next thing I guess I will talk about continuing on face is kind of highlight, bronze, all that kind of stuff. So for that, I actually ended up getting the Dior blush. I love this little blush cube. It's just so pretty and it's such a dark, vibrant pink, and I just love the berry shade. It just matches so well on my skin tone, especially when I blend it out. This is the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow 6 Berry, and I just love the color of this. I also love how skinny the packaging is because you could throw it into your handbag and go. I also have this Dior palette, which I absolutely love. This has highlighter, bronzer, blush if you wanted to use it in that way. This is the Dior Backstage Glow Maximizer palette in the number 5 Sunlit Amber Glow. And it has an illuminator and blush multi-usage, which is just absolutely awesome. And so I love the fact that I also have this quad of colors that I can use as a highlight or as a blush as needed. And I just love the colors in this. And I love the fact that they have that beautiful shine. So if you do want more of a glowy feel, especially if you're going to be dancing and things like that at a wedding with the lights baking on you, this is absolutely perfect for stage makeup. My background, by the way, guys, I used to dance. I used to dance a lot. I used to perform and dance. I learned Indian traditional dance for years. And so now I do more like Bollywood styles and like fun, quirky things. But because of that, I am very, very sensitive to a lot of different makeup. And I still want something that's going to transcend and show up on stage, especially under harsh lighting. So I was very impressed by how well the Dior stood the test of time. Just saying. Hydration, guys. Hydration is key. I have not had any water yet today, and I didn't realize it until recently, and now that I'm chugging water, oh my god, I feel so much better. Been severely dehydrated. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is one of the newer books that came out. I want to say this was 2023, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. It could also be 2024. We actually ended up reading this one for my book club. This is 2023. We read it the year that it came out, and I remember I absolutely loved this book. I think the thing that's unique about Riley Sager in particular, the reason why I love him as an author, and I think he's perfect for all seasons, particularly summer and fall seasons, especially now that we're transitioning into fall, is the fact that he writes such unique stories and none of them are exactly the same. So this one's also very fascinating. This is basically about a house that is on a cliff. It's kind of isolated. It has very, very wealthy patrons living there. And a young woman basically gets called to come there and take care of a woman who is essentially bedridden and is believed to have a little bit of Alzheimer's, and she just needs a caregiver to help take care of her. And she has a very tragic history in her past where essentially she and her sister were in a situation where the parents are found murdered, and it is believed one of the sisters has gone missing. And there's basically the old caretaker that lives there. She is the one that's kind of running the house. Then you have the old woman who's laying in bed and bedridden, who is believed to have dementia. And then we also have a few other young maids and things like that that are working within the home as well. When this young woman comes in as the primary healthcare personnel or caretaker for this old woman. As things unfold, though, crazy things start happening. It appears that maybe this woman, who is believed to be very innocent and very, very much on the decline, is not declining at the same rate that people may have originally thought. There's all kinds of insanity happening within the house. There's flashbacks to what happened years ago when the husband and wife are found murdered in their own home. And a lot of crazy things come to light throughout the course of this book. And it is one of those where I didn't see all the twists and turns coming. And again, I'm not explaining it properly. So let me read the inside of this book. It's just absolutely incredible. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killings, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after a previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. "I want to tell you everything." "It wasn't me," Lenora said, "but she's the only one not dead." As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. So there we go. That's a better way of describing it. It is such a great book, though. This was such a fun read. I did not think I would enjoy this book as much as I did. I will say it starts off slow and then it builds up once you get to about solid 30 to 40% into the book. And from there, the book just flies. Like, I mean, literally takes off and flies. Sprouts wings. It's gone with the wind. Like, such a great book after that point, but it is initially very slow. But I would definitely recommend this book. This one I felt was definitely more appropriate for the fall winter time in terms of the thriller vibes. But again, it is on the ocean coast. It's just that it's a crumbly old mansion falling apart in the middle of this environment. So very similar, I would say, in terms of the vibes that you get from A Study in Drowning. But I do think it's very appropriate for a fall thriller read, and I don't think Riley Sager disappointed with this book either, and I would strongly recommend it. Moving on in makeup as well, no makeup look is complete without a lip. So let's talk about the lip. I am one of those people who doesn't carry a ton of lip products on me because I just think it becomes a little too much and a little too hassly. But I do have this Chanel Rouge Noir Vamp Precision Lip Definer in the Le Crayon Lavers line. Thank you. Words are hard. In the shade 9. Apparently I really like a shade 9. It looks like that. I love the color on this. I just think it's absolutely stunning. It's a great liner. And the other thing I like about the Chanel lip pencils is they do come with this little brush on the bottom. So if you want to smudge it out or you want to make it more precise, you can. You can also use this to apply your lipstick if you wanted to as well. So I love this little lip liner. I also have the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk 3 Intense in here as well. And again, it's that darker, deeper brown, which is my usual go-to lip liner. I just like to even out the multiple colors within my lips because I don't just have one. I have like 2 or 3 different colors in my lips. So I do absolutely love these 2 lip liners. I also then have the Dior Lip Glow Oil in the color Reviver Cherry Oil. And I absolutely love this little glossy finish that I like to put on top. And I just think it's absolutely stunning. I'm also a sucker for packaging, so I'll be the first one to admit that I don't think these products are worth the cost, but I think they're absolutely beautiful. So I did end up getting them just for the sake of novelty, and that was the LV lipstick. It does come with the case, and so here is the lip product. It has the beautiful case in the top where you can actually see the color through the top of the case, which is just a nice touch. I think I love how solid this color is as well. This is just such a pretty color, and I like the fact that they all come as refills, so you just pop them out, and the refills themselves are also stunning. So this is in the color, what color are you? This is a matte color, and it's the Sables Roses. So I absolutely love it. It's a nice strong magnetic clip, and then once it's in pretty snug. And I love the fact that it just pops right on, and it is an absolutely stunning packaging. I like the fact that everything is like engraved into the bottom, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Does anyone need to buy this? No. Can you get the exact same colors in the Pat McGrath collection? Yes. Can you find it in other, brands as well? Yes. Is it worth the price point? No, but I still think it's gorgeous. So therefore, I do have it. Now, in order to continue with that ridiculousness that I just talked about, on the off chance that I don't want to wear a lipstick and I just want a balm, I also ended up getting the lip balm with this as well, which I do absolutely love. So here is the lip balm that I got. It does come in the beautiful white case, which still has the engraving around it. It also has the opening at the top, and I ended up just getting the clear balm. It smells delicious. It smells like spearmint, essentially, and I love it. And this is the clear color. So this is in the sheer in 000 Infinite Dreamer, and I absolutely love that as well. And that is basically the lippy collection that I have in here. Home Before Dark is also a great book. Now, this is also touching on the version of supernatural. In this book, it is believed that there are supernatural elements within this home that are haunting the house. And so the belief is when this woman moves back into her home that it is a haunted house because there are murders that have been committed within the house. I am not describing this well. Let me just read the inside to you guys here. Maggie Holt doesn't believe in these things, even though they are the details of the story that made her family famous. 25 years ago, she and her parents, Owen and Jess, moved into Banbury Hall, a rambling Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. They spent 20 days there before fleeing in the dead of night, an ordeal Owen later recounted in a horrible horror memoir, House of Horrors. His tale of ghostly happenings and encounters with malevolent spirits became a worldwide phenomenon, rivaling the Amityville horror in popularity and skepticism. Maggie has lived her life in the shadow of her father's book, so when she inherits Banbury Hall after his death, she returns to renovate the house to prepare it for sale. However, her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the past chronicled in House of Horrors lurk in the shadows, and locals aren't thrilled that their small town has been made infamous thanks to Maggie's father. Even more unnerving is Banbury Hall itself, a place filled with relics from another era that hint at a history of dark deeds. As Maggie experiences strange occurrences straight out of the Evans books, she starts to wonder if what he wrote was more fact than fiction. Alternating between Maggie's uneasy homecoming and chapters from her father's book, Home Before Dark, is the story of a house with long buried secrets and a woman's quest to uncover them, even if the truth is far more terrifying than any haunting. This book was very interesting. I think the twist at the end of the book was not one that I suspected, and that's one of the reasons I did enjoy this book. It wasn't my favorite Riley Sager book. It was probably my second to least favorite book that he has written, but it still caught my attention and I still enjoyed it. Given the fact that it's based on a haunted house, I do feel like it's appropriate for the October season, and I don't think you're going to regret it if you pick it up. The thing about Riley Sager is even when I don't enjoy his books, or I say they're not my favorite books, they're still solid 3-star reads or higher, so I would still recommend him to anybody. But it just so happens that some of his books are such 5 stars for me that this book just didn't hit that 5-star mark. It's not to say that it wasn't delicious to read. This was a 4-star read for me. I did really enjoy it. And if I remember correctly, this book was also a book that we picked for our book club. And I feel like it's pretty safe to say that at this point, almost any Riley Sager book that we end up seeing come out ends up being read in book club. So that really speaks to how much this author is loved and adored. And I don't think you're going to regret it if you pick this book up. This was a solid 4-star read. Eyes. Eyes are what come next in a full face look, so I figured I will show you guys what is in my eye collection. As I mentioned, Charlotte Tilbury is still one of my favorites, so I do have the Feline Flick pen in the Black Panther color. It is absolutely stunning. I love how fine tip this is. It gives you such a beautiful line on the eye and it's so easy to control. So I love, love, love this eyeliner. I also have the eye pencil in the Rock and Coal Bedroom Black by Charlotte Tilbury. And again, absolutely love this as well. You can get such a clean line with this, especially if you have a good pencil sharpener that you can use to maintain that tip. But I can even get it on so easily that I don't need to rest my hand on my face or anything like that where it could potentially smudge other makeup. And so I really, really love how beautiful this kohl is, and it just sits on the eyes all day long, which I love. I also have the Exaggerate Your Eyes Volume Mascara by Charlotte Tilbury. This is probably one of my favorite mascaras of all time. I love how beautiful and easy it is to wear. I love the wand. I love the shape of the wand. I like the fact that you can get a nice clean line on your eyebrows. I like the fact that you can curl your eyelashes as you go. Not your eyebrows, your eyelashes. I'm so sorry. I absolutely adore this product and I would strongly recommend this beautiful product. This is in Exagger Black as the color, and I am just a huge fan. And again, this is the Exagger Eyes mascara collection as well. And of course, with any eye, you also want some eyeshadow. So again, this is a little bit of a splurge, highly unnecessary, but I did end up picking up this product. I just thought it was so pretty. I love the fact that the pouch actually comes with 2 little applicator eyeshadow brushes as well, which is just so cute. So it does have these tiny little brushes, and I like the fact that it says, you know, on there, the packaging, who it is, where it's from. I like the fact that these little caps can be slid back on in order to protect the bristles if you wanted to protect them that way. And I just think that they're so cute, and they slot into the little pouch in the corner so that if you're carrying it around, it's not going to rub against the actual palette, and this does keep the palette protected. This is beautiful. This is nice and weighted. This is absolutely stunning. I love the packaging of this. I just think it's so pretty. I haven't seen much that can beat it in terms of packaging. As far as quality, it's about the same as any other product. So should it be charged this high to get this? No, but I do like the fact that the refills are cheaper and you can switch them out within the palette that you have. So you don't feel like you have to get multiples of this. You can just get refills. You basically pop this open, and again, it is quite weighted, and it comes with the little cover that I like to keep just to protect the shadows and make sure that they're not moving too much. And there's a button on the back where if you press this button, maybe it pops open the top, and now you can go in and you can change out these trays. Each tray does come out individually, which is great. And so once you pop it out, you can replace it with a new one, and then this just clicks back down. So now your palette is ready to go. I absolutely love the colors. I think it's so stunning. I have no regrets but buying this. Is it absolutely ridiculously expensive? Yes. But I also like the 4 colors that I ended up picking because I haven't seen these colors combined together. And I feel like for Indian outfits, these colors pull together beautifully. I specifically love the green and the gold mix, and I love the light pink and the purple in it as well, just to help with highlighting your eyes. And I just think it's a beautiful palette. It's stunning. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is insanely overpriced, but it is gorgeous, and no one can tell me otherwise in that regard. And I do like to collect random crap, pardon my language. So here she is. She's in the bag. Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This one is probably my second to last least favorite of all the books he's written. This was a solid 3-star read. This book is basically following a young woman who decides to come home after she's been in college, and there have been murders and serial killer that has been roaming the college. And so on her way home, she is fearsome that someone is following her and that she may actually be traveling with the serial killer himself, who's giving her a ride on the way home. So let me read the inside of this book for you guys. It's November 1991. Nirvana's in the tape deck. George H.W. Bush is in the White House. And movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. Josh Baxter, the man behind the wheel, is a virtual stranger to Charlie. They met at a campus ride board, each looking to share the long drive home to Ohio. Both have good reasons for wanting to get away. For Charlie, it's guilt and grief over the shocking murder of her best friend, who became the 3rd victim of the man known as the campus killer. For Josh, it's to help care for his sick father, or so he says. The longer she sits in the passenger seat, the more Charlie notices there's something suspicious about Josh, from the holes in his story about his father to how he doesn't want her to see inside the trunk. As they travel on empty, twisty highway in the dead of night, an increasingly anxious Charlie begins to think she's sharing a car with the campus killer. Is Josh truly dangerous, or is Charlie's jittery mistrust merely a figment of her movie-fueled imagination? One thing is certain. Charlie has nowhere to run and no way to call for help. Trapped in a terrifying game of cat and mouse played out on a pitch-black roads and in neon-lit parking lots, Charlie knows the only way to win is to survive the night. So again, very entertaining premise, very interesting, very different than all the other books that we've already talked about. And I think this is what I love about Riley Sager's, again, just the range of novels that he's written. But this one is just so much fun, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this book in all its intensity. This book, though, I do think as far as the storyline goes and the rate at which the story stayed with me was a little bit on the more mild side. It was not one that hit home for me per se, but it was still a great book and a very fun book to read while I was reading it. This was a solid 3-star read for me. I do feel like this, again, could be read in the fall because you're reading it at night. It's a nighttime vibe. They're driving through forests and it's a little bit more eerie. It's after like a murder has taken place on campus. It's right around the holiday season. It's November time frame. Perfect for the fall, perfect for the season. Last but not least, every single facial makeup situation that's going on needs a setting spray. And then the last thing, which is not necessarily a makeup product, but something that I feel like ties an outfit together, is the smell. So for me, the setting spray that I choose to use is the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, which is Party All Night, Stay All Day, by Charlotte Tilbury. Is this guy. I love the little mini traveling size that they have now. So I have a ton of these. I just tend to pop them in a bag and run. And this one does travel with me because it just sits so beautifully on the face, and it really does hold all the makeup in place. After which I can also dash on this powder that I had shown earlier, and then everything will just sit, which is really nice. And as far as the perfume that I'm currently using, it is Spell on You by Louis Vuitton. I absolutely love this scent. It's so stunning. It's so beautiful. It sits so beautifully on my skin. I'm obsessed with it. It has truly put a spell on me. And I do absolutely love it. I also tend to wear the Tom Ford Rose Prick perfume on occasion, so that one will sometimes come with me, and I have that in the travel size as well. I also have the Soleil Blanc by Tom Ford, which also tends to come with me on occasion. He recently released another rose perfume, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, and I do plan on getting for myself in Christmas this year because it is stunning, and my rose prick is starting to run out. So, you know, your girl's going to be getting herself something new this Christmas. So that's probably what I'm going to go for, is a very nice perfume, because I told myself I'm not going to buy anything insane or crazy for this Christmas, except maybe 1 or 2 books and then perfume. My best friend and I also love to do Christmas exchanges, so definitely stick around. That video will come out, and we usually do a bookish themed exchange that includes candles, wool socks, fuzzy socks, a nice mug, and a good book. So I'll definitely be putting that on there as well. But that is everything that's inside of the makeup bag. So thanks for sticking around and listening to me talk about Riley Sager as well as all these makeup products. The last Riley Sager book that I'm also going to be talking about in this video, because I haven't read the newest one yet, is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. And this was my least favorite Riley Sager book. I will be 100% honest. This is about a boy who's basically coming back to his old childhood home as an adult. And he has to deal with the fact that when he was younger, his best friend ends up disappearing and is never found again. Unclear as to whether he was died or whether he was kidnapped or what happened to his body. But he was never truly found. So there's a lot of trauma around that event that happened in his childhood that has kept him away from his family home. And now he found himself in a position where he's had to come home, and he has to solve the mystery of what happened to his best friend. So again, I will read the inside cover for you guys. In the latest jaw-dropping thriller from best-selling author Riley Sager, a man must contend with the long-ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. The worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor Billy fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan has reluctantly returned to his childhood home, plagued by bad dreams and insomnia. He begins to notice strange things happening in the middle of the night. Someone seems to be roaming the cul-de-sac at odd hours, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. Is someone playing a cruel prank, or has Billy, long thought to be dead, somehow returned to Hemlock Circle? The mysterious occurrences prompt Ethan to investigate what really happened that night, a quest that reunites him with former friends and neighbors and leads him into the woods that surround Hemlock Circle, woods where Billy claimed ghosts roamed and where a mysterious institute does clandestine research on a crumbling estate. The closer Ethan gets to the truth, the more he realizes that no place, be it quiet forest or suburban street, is completely safe, and that the past has a way of haunting the present. This one was fun, don't get me wrong. It was still very enjoyable. Like I said, every Riley Sager book to me has been very enjoyable. This was last year's release, and I think maybe when I read it, I just wasn't in the right mindset to be reading this book. But at the same time, I do think it was one of those books that was very haunting and definitely created, again, that feeling of atmosphere and fear. And it was just perfect for a nice thriller read. But I do think I read this book in March, I want to say, which is usually when I like to read thrillers, and maybe it was a seasonal thing. But with it being camp vibes, summer, beautiful weather, but then nighttime becomes dark and ghostly and creepy. This is a great summer read. This is one of those where, like House on the Lake, I do think it would do better in the summer as a summer thriller, but I do think overall this book was entertaining and fun. It just didn't quite hold a candle to some of the other books that Riley Sager has written. This one was a solid 3-star read for me. It's still very entertaining, it's still very fun, and it's still very enjoyable. And that then brings me to the final Riley Sager book that I know of that exists, and that is With a Vengeance. And this is the book that I will now be starting. So wish me luck, guys, because I'm curious to see where this one goes. This is the story about a young woman who is on a train with a bunch of strangers that she believes was responsible for deaths that happened to her loved ones. And she's basically planning on seeking out her vengeance on this train. However, before she can start enacting her plan, someone ends up dead. And she realizes that revenge, as sweet as it might be, may be the target of some other people on the train. So now she inadvertently has to help people that she hates to try to figure out who the murderer is on the train so that she can safely ensure that everyone arrives to their next destination, but simultaneously enact the vengeance that she wants to have on all of these people herself. Gives me very much vibes of Murder on the Orient Express, which I think was like one of the greatest books I've ever read. That's an Agatha Christie book, a Hercule Poirot mystery, just absolutely stunning, and has obviously been turned into a movie at this point as well. If you did not know and that was not obvious, let me let you know there is a movie now called The Murder on the Orient Express, which is telling the story as told by Agatha Christie's novel. And I just love that vibe. And I think this is going to be great for the October read. This is also our book club pick for this month. And so I'm very, very excited to sink my teeth into this new Riley Sager. I really needed this, guys. I really needed a moment to just sit and chit chat. And also this was a great way to see if the makeup that I've worn actually lasts, because again, I'm going to be wearing this for multiple different weddings that are coming up soon, and simultaneously talk about one of my favorite things on the planet, which is none other than reading. I think Riley Sager is one of the best authors to ever walk this earth in terms of thrillers. I just think every single book that he writes is a different vibe, a different genre, not different genre, it's the same genre, but it's like a different story. And so it doesn't feel repetitive. It always feels new. It's always enjoyable. And I love that about him. And it was just such a joy to recap all those books. And honestly, by talking about them, relive the memories and the experiences of what it felt like to read his books. And now I'm so much more motivated to pick up With a Vengeance. I also have now cleaned out my makeup bag, which is something that needed to happen. And I know what items are in here, which items I'm going to keep in here. And I think all of them are honestly going to stay. But it's just nice to know that the full face is there and ready to go. So it's like if I grab this bag and go, I'm set. And everything is within the size that it needs to be and fits within the dimensions that it needs to fit in order to cross TSA, in order to fit into every handbag, in order to make me survive through the course of all of these weddings that I will be attending. And that's very exciting. So if you guys like makeup and you're nosy like me, I hope you enjoyed this What's in My Makeup Bag, simultaneously paired with one of my favorite things of all time, which is book reviews and talking about some of my favorite authors, especially with it being the fall season. Riley Sager, again, is just one of my absolute favorites. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I realize this is a long one. For those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. I talk all things books here on this channel with a little smattering of randomness kind of tagged into this as well. I kind of wanted to do this because I know a lot of people who talk about makeup products and handbags and all this kind of stuff are very much in the luxury space. I'm not in the luxury space. I don't live a luxurious life at that level. I have a very humble life that I'm very thankful for. I still feel very privileged to be living it. My husband and I have a beautiful apartment. We have a family that we're trying to start. We're hoping to save up to eventually buy a house. I love my job. I love taking care of my patients. It brings me great joy. And I don't have too many makeup products. I don't believe in having too many makeup products because I'm not a big makeup person. But when I saw that this product had been released, especially by Louis Vuitton, I was like, I have to go try it out. And I wanted to play with all of these different makeup products, especially with the weddings that are coming up. One being my brother, one being my sister-in-law, one being my best friend, one being my best friend being engaged. Like it's just been such a joyous occasion. And I have had a lot of fun curating these different pieces. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. And the what's in the bag, because I'm nosy and I love it when other people are nosy and I love being nosy together. And I also love books, so I hope you enjoy that. I put out videos every Wednesday and Sunday, primarily on bookish related content, and I would love to see you back if you're interested. So definitely consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being here. It means the absolute world to me to be creating this bookish community with you guys. And I also just wanted to share a little bit of who I am in this video too, outside of just talking about one of my favorite authors. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you love Riley Sager, if you've read any Riley Sagers, definitely let me know. Tell me which one's your favorite in the comments below. If you have not read Riley Sager, but he is on your TBR, then definitely let me know which book seems most inspiring to you and which book you think you see yourself picking up. I think Forever and Always, Lock Every Door is going to be my personal favorite, only because it was the very first Riley Sager book that I ever read, and I thoroughly fell in love with it, and it was just a phenomenal experience. So I can't wait to let you guys know what With a Vengeance did for me and where it falls in my rating of all the Riley Sager books in the next video. I will leave you guys with that, and I just wanted to say, wherever you guys are, whether it's morning, evening, or night, I hope you guys are safe. I hope you guys are feeling loved. I hope you guys are feeling secure. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful reading journey with your loved ones and your family, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.